You don't have to be perfect to have amazing music, but just because you're famous doesn't give you carte blanche to be a monster. To say Johnny Cash was harsh with women would be an understatement. Vivian Liberto, who was Cash's first wife, wrote a devastating tell-all called I Walked a Line in 2007 that exposed the ugly side of their marriage. Despite her husband's addiction and extramarital affair, Liberto maintained her love for him, as she described it in her writing. Cash was supported by Vivian, who bore and raised his 4 daughters and remained by his side during the most difficult times of his arrests. Years down the road, though, Johnny would admit that June was really responsible. Together with God, she might have been the reason I'm alive today. Although June Carter put on a show of fairy tale romance for the world behind closed doors, her life was far more difficult. Robert Hilborn, Cash's biographer, claims he was shocked to learn that Cash had cheated on her while she was carrying their baby. Although Cash had affairs with several women, June's sister Anita was undoubtedly the most hurtful. The imperfect marriage of John Carter's parents has been a topic of much discussion. Went so far as to imply that his mother's addiction originated from an almost continual dread that Cash would deceive once more. Even their son caught the dread and knew that his family could disintegrate at any moment. Steven Tyler, lead singer of Aerosmith, discussed his relationship with Julia Holcomb in his 2011 autobiography, Does the Noise in My Head Bother You? A lot of specifics were left out when Tyler said that he had once called her Little Bo Peep, and that they liked to get naked in public. In 2011, Holcomb went on LifeSite to explain her perspective on her connection with Tyler, in an effort to set the record straight. She claims that she met Tyler when she was 16 years old and came from a dysfunctional background. When her unstable mother signed the papers making Tyler her legal guardian, their relationship took a serious turn. According to Holcomb, she was already pregnant when he proposed, and their family plans fell through when his grandmother declined to give him her ring. Holcomb claims that Tyler persuaded her to have an abortion after she was hospitalized, after becoming trapped in a home fire 5 months into her pregnancy. However, Tyler had already gone on to other women by that point, rendering their relationship irreparable. Holcomb went back to her parents after leaving him, and Tyler went back to becoming a rock star. Between 2012 and 2013, CeeLo Green had a very difficult time. His problems started when he was accused of raping and administering ecstasy to a lady. In the end, Green entered a not guilty plea to the narcotics felony charge, which resulted in a 3-year probationary period and 45 days of community service. The rape accusations were dropped because Green's attorney contended that there was insufficient evidence to disprove that the act had not been sexual. In the City of Angels, he has immense fame. Because CeeLo Green will be well liked by the jurors, the prosecutor must take that into account. Not long after that, Green shared his thoughts on rape on Twitter. A person who has been sexually assaulted knows that when someone passes out, they aren't even aware that they are in your presence, he wrote. Therefore, agreement is implied. In the aftermath of the criticism, Green removed these tweets. Subsequently, he expressed regret and vowed that he would never again approve of the abuse of women. In spite of his hippie reputation, John Lennon frequently left devastated individuals in his wake. As an example, he left his first son Julian, who was 5 years old at the time, all by himself. Julian has confirmed what many have suspected: Lennon effectively disowned him, leaving his mother Cynthia with hardly enough money to cover tuition and clothing. However, Lennon's decision to leave Julian could have turned out to be a fortunate turn of events. Lennon frequently left mounds of narcotics laying about the house and would verbally abuse the youngster for the smallest infractions while he was still seeing Cynthia. Carries on with his practice of having affairs into his marriage to Yoko Ono, though Ono doesn't appear to have been bothered by it. Even worse, in an interview with Playboy from 1980, Lennon said that he occasionally struck the women in his life. Heartbreak Hotel catapulted Elvis Presley to stardom when he was just 21 years old. The rock and roll king appeared to be unbeatable after that. Naturally, a great deal of female admiration came along with your reputation and money. But there was one type of girl that Elvis liked, according to Joel Williamson, Elvis biographer. Being an Elvis girl meant being at least 14 years old. The 22-year-old superstar brought his own entourage of 14-year-olds on his early tours. According to Williamson, Elvis enjoyed wrestling and tickling more than anything else he encountered outside of sexual relations. When Priscilla met Elvis, who was 24 years old at the time, she was 14 years old. There is still much speculation about the inner workings of that period. Elvis's disinterest in Priscilla, following the birth of Lisa Marie, is an undeniable fact. On the contrary, he started dating another girl who was 14 years old. Phil Spector was one of the most revered musicians of the early 1960s. By creating innumerable songs and establishing a style of orchestration that would later be called the Wall of Sound, Spector solidified his position as the greatest super producer of his generation from 1962 to 1966. Be My Baby by the Ronettes, You've Lost That Love and Feeling by the Righteous Brothers, and River Deep, Mountain High by Ike and Tina Turner were just a few of the iconic songs of that time that he produced. Allegations surfaced that Spector had threatened musicians with a gun during many recording sessions, adding to his reputation for unstable behavior. Ronette star Ronnie Spector, who was married to him for a while, came forward to say that he abused her by threatening to murder her on multiple occasions. To further demonstrate the seriousness of his threats, he had a coffin placed in the compound's basement. Then, in February 2003, Spector's home was the site of the discovery of the body of Lana Clarkson, a 40-year-old model. For her murder, Spector was taken into custody. He received a sentence of 19 life in jail, following his trial, appeal, and retrial. In January of 2021, at the age of 81, Spector passed away. In the realm of hip-hop, Sean Combs is a superstar. Forbes estimates that he earned $90 million in 2022. And he is also a very successful entrepreneur. He has 5 singles that peaked at #1 on the Billboard charts. However, in November 2023, Combs' career came tumbling down when his ex-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura sued him in federal court. Rape, physical violence, compulsion, and sex trafficking were among the charges she leveled against Combs. Despite the speed with which the lawsuit was resolved, Combs' legal woes persisted until his indictment and subsequent imprisonment in September 2024 on allegations of racketeering, sex trafficking, and other offenses. The latest rumor mill has it that the hip-hop mogul sexually assaulted music producer John Diddy Combs. In the months that followed, more and more people came forward to say that Combs had raped, attacked, mistreated, threatened, or harassed them. The bail of Combs has been refused multiple times. He is being held in federal jail as he awaits trial. He might spend the rest of his life behind bars if found guilty. 2 women, ages 22 and 24, were apprehended by the authorities in 2012, along with Lost Prophets singer Ian